Hello, Udemy. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to make a maze game, and we're going to demonstrate and utilize all the things that we've been talking about. We're going to talk about variables. We're going to talk about events and broadcasts, and we're going to talk about how all of those things can actually intersect and be used to make an awesome program. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to get rid of pretty much everything except for my background. And I have included in this video this actual background right here. So the very first thing that I want you to do is I want you and look just like this. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to make it so our Scratch Cat can walk through the maze. This is going to be my beginning of the maze, and this is going to be my ending of the maze. Beginning, end. So I need to make my Scratch Cat smaller. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to find my shrink button all the way at the top right here. And I'm just going to make him small enough. He doesn't need to be itty bitty. He just needs to be small enough that he can fit through the maze. So I'm going to click on the shrink button. I'm going to click 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's try 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 might do it. 16, 17. 16 or 17 looks good. Okay, so I'm going to put him at the start. So remember, just like in our dress-up game, I want my cat to start at the same place every time. I don't want him to finish the maze when I click the green flag because we already finished the maze. Maybe you played it and you want to see how your friend does in the maze. So we always want him to start in the same spot. So go ahead and position your Scratch Cat right in front of it and then go to Events when the green flag is clicked, Motion, Go to. And remember, these numbers right here update automatically wherever the Scratch Cat currently is. Okay. So now what we need to do is we need to create our player controls, and we're going to do that with event. Very, very simple. So I'm going to move this over because we don't need it, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Realize it's going to be a little bit hard to see. And it's basically the same thing, but 4 different ways. We're going to use the arrow keys on your keyboard. So we're going to say that when we push the up arrow, our Scratch Cat's going to move up. When we push the down arrow, the Scratch Cat's going to move down, left, and right, same thing. So events, and you're going to block that says when the space key is pressed. Drag that over. Remember, we have this little drop-down menu right here that lets us choose every key on our keyboard, but we want to control them with the arrow keys today. So we're going to say up arrow, and then when we push the up arrow, we need him to point in the direction up and then move up. So we're going to say motion, direction 90, and move 10 steps. Now I know that 90, if I click on it, is to the right because it says it right here. Negative 90 is to the left, 0 is up. So now instead of going back over here and doing all that 4 more times, what we can do is we can just right click on our script and duplicate it and just make changes from there. So I'm going to go up to my script right here, right click, duplicate, drag it down. So I did up, so how about we do down, down arrow, and instead of pointing in direction up, which is 0, we're going to click on 180, and we can leave move 10 steps how it is. Right click, duplicate, bring it down. We still need to do left and right. So let's do the right arrow, 90 degrees, leave move 10 steps how it is, right click, duplicate, left arrow, negative 90, which is to the left. And let's test our code and make sure that our Scratch Cat is moving. So I'm going to go into full screen mode, click the green flag, and let's see, I'm pushing up. Yep, he's moving up. Down. Yep, he's moving down. Left and right. but he's still flipping over. We don't want him to flip over. So how do we fix that? Remember, let's go down to the little eye right here. Click on the eye and select that center rotation style icon right there. And now he won't flip upside down anymore. Okay, so this is going to be the first program that we do when we're going to have a lot of code and we're going to have a lot of things that are going to be working at the same time. So what we need to start doing is we need to start making notations about what our code does so that our player doesn't get confused, or maybe you're working on a game and you want a friend to help you out with it, and you don't want to have to explain everything to your friend as you're working, so we need to make notes. So the way we do that is very easy. You just go over here to the top of your code and you right click. And remember how it said duplicate? Don't click delete, but click on add comment. And I'm going to click on add comment, and you get this little drop down menu and it says moves player. And that's it. That's all you need to do. And we can just do that right here. Add comment, moves player. And last one. And there you go. So now whoever's looking at our code and helping us out with our games will let us know, or will know what our code does. Okay. So now I'm not going to need this anymore. I'm done with this whole section. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to move it over. Okay. So let's test our game out real quickly. I'm going to click the green flag. Our Scratch Cat goes back to the beginning, and let's try to go through our maze. Okay, looks like it's working, but, oh, you know what I can do? I can go over the walls of my maze, right? That's not a very good maze if I can just cheat and go all the way to the end. So let's make it so our player can't do that. And what we're going to do is we're going to set it up in a pretty cool way. What we're going to say is that if our player touches the black line for any reason, that he's going to be pushed back. So if our player starts right here and we touch the black wall, we're going to have the computer send our player either to the left, to the right, or up or down. So let's say that our character is going down. We're heading this way. And we make a mistake and we try and hit the wall right here. So what we're going to have the computer do is, because we're moving that direction and we hit the wall, we're going to have the computer send our character back a number of steps. Okay? So let me show you how we're going to do that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use some if statements. So we're going to get a brand new when the green flag is clicked button, and we're going to get forever. And I want you to go ahead and put your if statement right here because we're going to duplicate it. So go to sensing and find the touching color question mark block. So if we drag this out, you can see it's on here. It's on this green right here. Well, let me change that. There we go. We can see it's on this green color right here. So what you do is you just click that little color box, and then you click whatever color you want, and it switches to that color automatically. So let me show you. I click on the green box, and I get my little pointer finger right here. And you can see whatever I travel over, the box wants to change colors to. So I'm just going to click on the black. Okay. And I'm going to say, if touching the color black, and. So go to the green operators. And. So we want two things to happen. So if we're touching the color black and we're pointed in a direction. So let's put our Scratch Cat back here. So how about we do it if we're moving this way and we hit the black? I want him to move backwards. So that would mean that I'm pointing 90 degrees or I'm pointing to the right. So we're going to go to motion and we're going to find this little direction pill button. So this little pill right here, this represents whatever the value direction currently is. So if we push up, our direction value is going to be 0. If we push down, our direction value is going to be 180. And this little button right here automatically updates it for us. We're going to say if touching color black and direction, operators again, equals, and type in 90 right here. Because remember, we're moving to the right. I'm going to plug that in right here and drop it in right there. So if, move this over, there we go, a little less confused. If we're moving this way with our scratch cat and we touch the black, we're moving to the right at 90 degrees. What we want him to do is we want him to get pushed back a little bit so he can't cross that line. So if touching the black and direction equals 90, we're going to change x by what? By negative 10. Plug that in right there. Now, don't go ahead and follow along with this part because we're just going to test it out because we're going to put this in and then take it right back out. So I'm going to plug this in right here and let's test it. What should happen is that as I'm walking, when I hit that black edge, I'm going to be bounced back this way, just 10 steps. Let's see. So I'm going to click the green flag. Okay, I'm pushing my right arrow button. Yep, and see now I'm being pushed back. You can see the little flash. Even if I hold it down, I can get stuck on there for a little bit, but I can't go any farther, and it puts me right back off. So our code is working. Excellent. So now, just like I said, I'm going to take this out, and I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to put it right back, and I'm only going to change a few things now. So what happens now if I'm facing left, if I'm facing negative 90? So I'm going to change 90 to a negative, and instead of moving negative 10, now I'm just going to move positive 10. I'm going to snap that. I'm going to duplicate that, plug it in right here. And now we just have to do the same thing for up and down. If we're facing up, remember the direction value for up is 0. So if we're facing up, which is 0, do we want to change the x or the y? We want to change the y. So I'm going to take out change x, and now I'm going to set change y. So now, if I'm moving up, I want to change the y value by a negative 10. Negative 10. Duplicate that, snap that in. There we go. I know it's a lot of code, but this is the very last step. So now, if we're touching the color black and moving down, which is 180 degrees, 180, we're going to change y by 10. So remember, we talked about this in an earlier lesson. X goes right and left. Y goes up and down. So that's why these numbers read like that. So I'm going to plug that in right here, and let's make a note. Let's right-click up here and click on Make a Comment and say, scooch this over, and let's say, this code stops the player from, from crossing the maze walls. And then we can smush that down and we don't have to worry about it. And you know what? This is getting a little bit confusing. I'm going to zoom out just a bit and click on Clean Up just so it can organize it for me. And I'll zoom in later. Okay, so let's test our code again. So I hit right. Up, can't cross that wall. Can I go down? Nope, I can't cross that wall. Can I go left? Nope, I can't cross that wall. Can I go right? Oh, I can't cross that wall either. So it looks like everything is working. Perfect. In the next video, we're going to talk about how to add points and a timer.